Blaze Slayer is the hardest slayer in Hypixel Skyblock, but it also makes the most amount of money. In my last video a couple weeks ago, I ended up getting this Blaze Slayer set up, but I never got the test to see how much money it made. Blaze Slayer can make tens of millions of coins, and since this profile is kind of poor, I need to make a lot of money. Especially since my setup for Blaze isn't even where I want it to be right now. I only have Habanero Tactics 4 on my helmet, but I'm gonna try and get Habanero Tactics 5 on my whole set, which means I need 7 more books, and even though the prices dropped a bunch, that still would cost me about 750 million coins, which is insane. And if we look at my purse right now, we can see I have about 83.7 mil, so I'm gonna need to get a lot of money from this, so we're gonna see how much money this makes. The good thing though is I do have a lot of time to make this money, because as you can see right now, I'm Blaze Slayer level 7, and I'm gonna try and get all the way up to Blaze Slayer level 9 before I stop, so we have a lot of XP to get before I'm gonna be done with this grind. So in this video, we're gonna test to see how much Blaze Slayer makes with a mid setup, and I know that this can get a lot better and definitely with like more magic find, faster bosses, but I just want to see how much Blaze Slayer makes for me and how much you guys can expect from it. So I'm going to do a 3-hour test to try and get the most consistent results as possible, and we're going to see how much this makes. But first, I need to explain a couple of things for this method. Okay, so first up, I just want to put a quick disclaimer. My magic find is going to be really low during these bosses, probably only going to be about 140 or so, and you can go laugh at me in the comments, but if you want me to get more magic find, then you should probably just donate me some money, because I am broke and I do not have enough for magic find. But that being said, it would be about 135, but I'm using these stars here and it's bringing my magic find to about 145, so I'm going to be throwing these out every single boss, and a stack of these cost about 2 million coins, so this will last me a long time and it is pretty cheap for a good amount of magic find. Additionally, my boss times are around 45 seconds or so they can definitely be a lot faster or a bit slower depending on how your setup is, but I think this is a good baseline because I think a lot of people can probably get to this kill time with a decent setup, but Blaze Slayer is expensive, so don't think that you can get these rates by using like a 200 million coin setup. You probably won't be able to do that. Okay, and the last thing that I want to go over before we go into this test is during the summoning time, I'll be using a black cat because again, I'm broke and cannot afford a G-Drag. I have about 18 million pet XP on this black cat pet, so I'll probably end up needing to buy another one before these 3 hours end, but that is something to note. Oh my gosh, there's no way, a high class? Okay, that was a really dry reaction. In chat, they're saying to roll once and then sell. I'm not going to count this towards my profits or anything, so if I just lose 6.7 mil, I just lose 6.7 mil, but okay, fine. And you cannot make this up. I dropped another high class. What is actually going on, bro? This is crazy. Well, we have about an hour and a half left. Our profits are actually going to be pretty good right now. Like, if you just count the high classes alone, then Blaze Slayer is already making 20 mil per hour. But this is definitely very uncommon. I don't think you're going to be dropping a high class every hour and a half. Okay, so really quickly, I just want to mention that these bosses over the 3 hours took me about 20 million coins to spawn them, and this also includes the gummy bear that I used every hour and a potion that I used every 30 minutes. So just bear that in mind. I will include that in the final calculations to see how much it made. But that is something to know because it is Slayers. It is kind of expensive to keep doing, but it should pay itself off plus a lot more. So now let's see how much money we made. Okay, so I have all the loot here, but I also have a bunch of stuff in my sacks, which includes like the derelict ash and the gabagool distillate. And we can see that from those things, we got about 40 million coins. And honestly, I feel like this is where it was kind of lacking a bit, because normally I would probably get about 2 to 3 times the amount of gabagool distillate, which would add 13 to 25 extra million coins. But I think because of the high classes that we got, it ended up balancing out. But either way, 40 million coins from the sacks here. We can also see that the derelict ash does pay off for the amount of money that we spend on spawning the bosses and the potions. So if you want to, you can just include the other drops, and the derelict ash can just all be making sure that you break even. But we can see that I actually make a little bit more money from that. So Blaze Slayer is pretty much always profit, even if you have the worst luck possible. Alright, and now to look at the bigger loot that we've gotten, we can see I sold a bit of like the other drops like Kelvin inverters and probably like mana disintegrators that were in my inventory, just because it's not really that amazing of a drop, but this is just some stuff that I have saved. We got a couple mana disintegrators, a couple bundle of magma arrows. We got a Kelvin inverter. We might have gotten 2 of these, but I just saved one. We got 1 scorched books. I expected to get a lot more of these, but it's fine. It's really cheap anyways. We got 2 Fire Aspect 3 books. I'm so glad that we actually got more duplex books than Fire Aspect 3. That usually does not happen, but it's fine. Okay, now moving on to a little bit of the better loot here. I ended up dropping 6 scorched power crystals from all of these bosses and 3 duplex 1 books. Additionally, before we get into the dice, I ended up getting 3 smoldering 1 books just from killing the blazes, and I think that's pretty average to what you'd get 1 every hour. That makes sense. So okay, now to get into the dices, I ended up dropping 4 regular Archfiend dice, and I will not be rolling these just because I am broke, as you can see here, and so I need to get all the money I can. But we did get 4 of those, and as you know, we got 2 high class Archfiend dice. One of them that I did end up rolling, but we don't talk about that. We're just not gonna include that we rolled it, because you're not supposed to roll it. That's just dumb. So don't roll it if you drop the dives. But yeah, now let's add up all the profit to see how much we got. Okay, so if we subtract the cost of fuel, we can see that I made about 33 million coins from the bizarre sellable items. And then from the dices here, we can see that there is about 78 million coins on the auction house. This means that we would have made about 110 million coins after costs are considered, and both my high classes just sold, so that's actually really nice. Okay, so we would have made about 110 million coins in these 3 hours, which equates to about 36.7 million coins. But there is something that I did forget to mention, and that was the pets. Because I ended up getting my original black cat pet all the way up to level 100, and I got a second one to basically level 82. So I'm gonna see how much XP that got me. We ended up getting about 14.6 million pet XP from both of these pets here, but it is worth noting that it is Diana right now, which means that we get 35 extra XP, which means that normally we would get about 10.8 million XP. Right now, Black Cat will give you about 1.57 coins per XP, which means that in these 3 hours, we would be making about 17 million coins without Diana. This means that in total, minus the cost to spawn the bosses, in these 3 hours, we made 127.1 million coins, and that means that per hour, we were making about 42.4 million coins with pet XP. Honestly, for dropping 2 high classes, I thought that we'd be making a lot more, but I guess it is what it is. Because without those high classes, we would have only been making about 22.4 million coins per hour, which is honestly kind of sad. That being said though, like I said, usually I get a lot more gabagool distillate, so if I did end up getting like 2.5 times more, that would have equated to that would have made this about 28 million coins per hour, which isn't too bad. Overall, is Blaze Slayer worth it for money? Honestly, if you don't have that much magic find or that great of a setup, I would probably stick away from it if you want to just get money. If you're trying to get to Blaze 9 like I am, then obviously the money that you get on the side is definitely worth it. But if you're trying to do something for money, then you probably shouldn't pick Blaze Slayer unless you already have a lot of magic find and you have a really good Blaze Slayer setup. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys later.